Hello everyone, I hope you all are doing fine. And today we're going to continue our session on Augustan prose, right? And we already talked about a lot of stuff on, I think, on Friday, and then we had two days gap. And today we're going to complete the session on Augustan prose, and then we'll quickly move on where transition, and where we'll discuss every single stuff about Samuel Johnson. And trust me, you are going to get at least three questions on who Samuel Johnson. And not only that, but in this session itself, you're gonna get one question from Jonathan Swift, and that is certain. If not directly, then you would actually encounter indirect question too. So let me tell you about Jonathan Swift, because from tomorrow on, we are going to continue for a whole week, right? And so let's start anyway. So Jonathan Swift, first of all, you have to remember what the date, the birth, because all the time you get question where in chronological order. So Swift, birth and death is very important. All his, you know life span 1667 to 1745, very important. And you should know that he was born in Dublin, very important, right? And he maintained his connection with Ireland throughout his life. So you can see, on his work, that Ireland is mentioned somewhere. There was also some of the essays that he has written all about Ireland. Also, all actually he was trying to improve Ireland through his work, right? And Swift father died before his birth, raised by an uncle, and he was unhappy at school and also in Trinity College. And what was his problem? That he suffered from ear issues and leading to insanity. Anyway, what you need to know, that he was a writer, and he born in Dublin. And his work, mostly you can see, in his work, all this Ireland influence is there. So that you have to remember. Other than that, you can just have a slight idea about it, and that's all. And very important that you get questions sometime about William Temple. And together, if there is a question on Temple, definitely it will somewhere interrelated to, because he was Sir William Temple household in 1689. Very important. Remember, there was a work, Battle of the Books, right? He was actually defending Sir William Temple's essay, and which was it? It was the modern and ancient. Remember, so that we're gonna anyway discuss in detail when we talk about a battle of the book. And one more thing you have to remember, when we talk about his work, remember, first work, then last work, second last work, second work, and whatever is in the between in code you can make, right? So now we have previously what we were doing: first work, last work, and then the middle. This time we are going a little bit advanced, and slowly by the end of this course you will be able to remember every single thing. Very, all the time you get question on chronology, right? So let me tell you about a little bit about his life, Swift's life. So took holy order under Temple encouragement, gained secretarial and ecclesiastical position after Temple's death. So he kind of entered in, and complete control he got when after Temple's death. So in 1710, Swift supported the Tories. Very important question, because that was there in one option, in one of the exams. Previously they have asked about it. As you know, our Samuel Johnson also Tory, right? And we have other than, like, we have Steele, started with Whig and then end up in Tory. Same with who, our addition. So these are very important in their life, these political, these groups. So hoped for rewards, but Queen Anne objected to his early writing. Very important, there was option in long ago, they were asking about this Dean of St. Patrick. So he became Dean of St. Patrick's. Very important. Right, and what else you can remember? His political tracts. Remember the day he has written political tracts that we will talk about. He wrote sometime for the Examiner, as you know, Examiner, a Tory journal. Right. The first, remember, they closed what? Tatler, these Tory and Whig. Then they started a Spectator, and somewhere around that time, also there was Examiner, which was also Tory journal, right? And key works, very important to know about the barrier of treaty and the public spirit of the big. So these two political tract that he has written were in Examiner. Very important, right? And there was a question on Journal to Stella not long ago, but in your exam, that work is not written by Samuel Johnson, and there was this option Journal to Stella. As you know, it is by who? Our Jonathan Swift. So moving forward, just look, have a look that this journal was actually what? This was a letter sent privately to Esther Johnson. Then it was later collected in a group and then published as a book, right? And as you know, you can see his everything, his shrewdness, his vivacity, and all these, it can be seen in his later letters, right? And then Pepys' diary, why it is mentioned, it is not like, you know, of course Pepys also, Pep has written the diary, right? But the style there was very kind of, you know, humor was there and very graceful style was there. On the other hand, Swift has only shrewdness, vivacity, but it was not intimate as Pepys' diary, right? And Swift is portrayed as what? Vain, arrogant, but also generous and loyal. That's what you know his character is about, so you can understand what kind of person he was, right? Now let me tell you about a couple of more things about his first work. As you know, Drapier's later, that anyway we'll talk about. In his final stay in Ireland, he wrote Drapier's letter. They ask question based on that itself, the list of works, right? And Swift gained immense popularity, what? For his defense for Irish cause. It's very important that, again I tell you, that his writing was mostly influenced by the Irish nationality, and it can be seen in many of his work. And especially we have what? The this work that I wanted to tell you. This is all about In Modest Proposal. Remember what he told there? A modest proposal for preventing the children of poor people from being a burden to their parents or country, and for making them beneficial to the public. Very important that they have asked question based on that and suggest solving Ireland's poverty by selling children as a food. So anyway, we'll come to that point and we'll discuss it like real in detail, right? So what I wanted, where, okay, we were discussing about his other stuff. Again, he was involved with Esther, uh, which we know, and Esther Venho, like Vanessa. And remember, there was a work, Stella and Vanessa, that anyway we'll talk about, right? A notable work, the Battle of the Book. Very important. They used to ask a lot of question based on that. They still ask, and sometimes somewhere in the question, especially in the option, you might encounter these options as well, right? So let me tell you about the Battle of the Book. Remember how you can make the code? The first work, you can just go with Battle of the Books. Anyway, the Tale of Tub is the first one. that anyway we'll talk about. So a battle of books. Right, the first here we are taking. Let me see what is the tale of a tub date. Same date, it is both the same publication date. So that's why I was telling you, you can just make it like that. But mostly, in questions, and I have seen previously some question, it was actually tale mentioned as the first work and then the book, so you can go with that as well. So remember that first walk tail book. So the first and second is already cleared for you, right? And we will left with last and the second last, that anyway we'll talk about. Anyway, the battle of the books, as you know, written in 1704 as an introduction to A Tale of a Tub. So basically, they published together. It describes a literal battle, what between books in where in the king's library. That was the question they have asked some, in 2016 and 17. They asked the question based directly from which library. So it was from King's Library, that you have to remember. The authors in the library struggle for supremacy. So basically the fight is over the supremacy, like the ancient and the modern, like who is supreme and who is superior to each other, right? So the term represent what? Ancient and modern in literature. It is not just about authors, but also a battle between writers and critics. So we have not only the battle between these writers from ancient and modern, but also from critics and writers. The work is actually a parody of heroic poetry, as you know, Samuel Butler's Hudibras. Very important. Usually, what you get question from that only based on chronology order. So that you have to actually a little bit remember. Anyway, the modern thinker claimed to see what farther than ancient. So what his claim is here about the modern thinker. He says the modern people, okay, is what claim to see further than ancient. So they were kind of small in their thinking. They are it is somewhere. So modern is superior here, the first claim. The ancient argue, and here the ancient argue about what? uh, Argue that all knowledge is in Virgil, Cicero, and Homer, Aristotle. You can see all the knowledge in them, in whom? Virgil, Cicero, Homer, and Aristotle. None, you cannot find other things other than these group of writer. They have written on everything, and all the knowledge belongs to them. Who says this? They said what our ancient people are saying. Ancient author. Then a literary consists of 1619 saw William the ancient. So as I told you in the beginning of the this work that I was telling you, that it was basically based on what? The ancient and modern. Remember, it was written by Temple, and here he got so much criticism by so many critics. you know for him, it was very kind of big thing. And what he did, Swift did what? He defended William Temple for this. That's why he has written the Battle of the Books. So source is there, that you have to remember. Anyway, what was Temple's argument in his essay? That modern man is a dwarf on the soldiers of who? Giants. Very important, you get always question based on dwarf, spider, bee, all these things. You get flies. So the Temple argued that the modern man is a dwarf on the shoulder of giants. What he basically means is कि we modern man and modern writers are kind of dwarf who are actually on the shoulders of giant, means ancient, and then they are writing all these things. So the satire includes an allegory of a spider and bee. So the spider and bee allegory is also. So Okay, just wait a minute. I'm getting noise here. So the satire includes allegory of a spider and a bee. The spider is described as swollen from killing numerous fleas. Right, so the spider lives on a top shelf in a cattle like web. So here what he's basically saying, that these spider, no, they kind of web all is kind of web, and they weave the web, and these bees got stuck there, and what happens, he actually kills them. So a curious bee destroys the spider webs in passing. So here is also happening something. A curious bee destroys the spider's web in passing. The spider curses the bee for running his superior creation. So what you have to remember, all the allegory here: dwarf on the shoulder of man, and what is spider and a bee. That's what you have to remember there. Now next we'll talk about a tail of a tub. You always get question on that as well. Remember, there are three men. First important stuff that you have to know, that it is a religious allegory, and it is perhaps suggested by the work of Bunyan. Three men: Peter, Jack, Martin. And Peter stands for Roman Catholic Church, Jack Protestant, Martin Anglican. So their father actually gave them a coat, a kind of coat, and they have to do what, alter that according to their need. So the story is mostly written in digression, very important. Sometime there was question, and this option was there. So very important that you should actually know that it was written in digression, and they alter the codes to left them, and whatever the alter they can make, they can make. So you can just basically think they are altering those religion. So these religions are represented as quote here, and the alteration is whatever the change they make in the religion, right? So again, the narrative loses kind of clarity and coherence as it progresses. Swift develops a ferocious attack on Peter and Jack, and Martin escapes more lightly. So basically, what is saying, that Martin was kind of good, his religion was good, and the both Jack and what, uh, Peter, he attacked. So the satire is relentless and powerful. Swift spares nothing, everything sacred and criticized. So the tale alternates what, between allegory and ironic digression. Then we have another work, very important, an argument against abolishing Christianity. They ask question on that as well. So that you have to just remember the date, and what basically they'll ask, what, you know select the correct pair of work by Swift. These kind of question you'll get. A journal to Stella, you could see the this option in one question, but not related to Jonathan Swift directly, right? So, I mean, the question was on Samuel Johnson previously, just that cancelled exam that you had, right? And there they have asked this. So, a journal to Stella, as you know, by Swift for Esther Johnson. Again, here is also again Esther Van Moro, Vanomiri is represented as Vanessa. So that is also work that you have to remember. And then Drapier's letters. And Drapier's letters were 7 pamphlet. These pamphlet, remember the number 7 pamphlet, and written between 1724 to 1725. Very important that you should know. And then we have Gulliver's Travel. They used to ask a lot of question on Gulliver's Travel, but right now the trend is gone. What they're asking, just the name of the work, who has written, and a couple of more thing, but not so deep about it. Before they used to ask a lot of question like you know, all Yahoo and all these part of the, you know, book, all four parts, where he comes first, where he goes next, and all these stuff. But these days, it's kind of the trend is gone, but you should know actually, because you don't know, you know, what kind of question you get in exam. So that is all still unpredictable, but the trend says that they are not asking very deep on on Gulliver's Travel, but they ask the question. So either you can go with the trend, or you can just, if you want to be in the safer part, you can just actually I'll know more about it. First of all, full title: travels into several remote nations of the world in four parts. So, in the title itself, it's written how many parts are there. By full name: Lemuel Gullivers. First, a surgeon. They asked question based on that, and then a captain of several ship. They have asked question on that too. So very important that you should know the full title. And as you know, it's a prose satire. Swift claimed that he wrote Gulliver's Travel to vex the world rather than divert it, right? And John Gay said that it is universally read from the cabinet council to the and these, you know, setting up the mood for you that these are very, this is very great work that you should actually remember. And Robert Macron, what he actually included 100 best novels. I hope you have written a Gulliver's Travel. If not, you have read, sorry, so if you have read the book, then it's good. If you have not, you must have watched a movie, right? So let me tell you about the Gulliver's Travel. So what happens, Gulliver's announces he published his story under pressure, and he denies it is a mere fiction out of my, it is not Gulliver actually, it should be Swift, right? Anyway, Swift book is satirical commentary. Of course, it is a satire. And let's straight move to the what the parts. So first part, narrated by Gulliver, a surgeon and sea captain. First adventure is what he kind of survives a shipwreck. If you have watched the movie, then it's you know, easy for you to remember. So in a shipwreck, he reaches to Lilliput. They're small people, and he was the giant guy, right? So that Lilliput spot, Lilliput inch, so the, and political division is there. Basically, these two parties represent at that time Tory and Whig. Very important. So that's the allegory. Again, it's there. And Gullivers is asked to help in the war against what? Blefusco. And how it happens? Uh, he captures this guy Fleifetcho's feet, but refuses to help conquer them after he extinguishing a fire by urinating on the place. So if you have watched that movie, it will be very easy. Then the next journey is what he goes different, but the other are, you know, big. Remember Brobding gang. So Lilliput, then Brob, right? And here it's completely opposite what happened in Lilliput, right? That's all you have to remember there. And most important, basically you get question from that and some of the character as well. So part 3, let me tell you, it is about Laputa, and we have um, here they have flying islands and obsessed with mathematics and music, but no practical use. And Laputa is ruled by the king of Balnibarn. So that you have to remember. And what else you can, in four parts, he goes to the land of these horses, right? And these, you know, horny human, whatever you can, how you, however you can pronunciate, it all depends on you. And there he founds what? Yahoo. So Yahoo are represented, you know, by these men. All these men's are represented by Yahoos, and these Heinemann is a kind of what? A benevolent horses. They don't speak much. That's very important. Remember, he avoids his prefers talking. So that's all about this. Then we have modest proposal. So in modest proposal, as I told you, remember the full title is very important. It's about poor children selling to the rich people, and especially in Ireland. So that's the thing. Modest, uh, the date of the publication. And very important thing, that there is lampoon social engineering. So that was the question also in one of the options in the question that we have seen it. So that's very important. Again, journal to Stella, which one we are discussing. Yes. And verses on the death of Dr. So other two works are also there. So let me create a first walk table for you to remember chronology. Remember, we have tail of a tub and together with a book, ba- battle of the book. Then at the end we have modest proposal, and between we will have Gulliver's Travel, Journal to Stella, and all these things, right? So even if you remember these two from the second one, we have to put travel. So travel. So the first, second, last, and second last, that both you have to remember, and between you can put whatever is there. Like Journal to Stella, Trapius Letter, Argument, and not much of so many works, but it's easy. If you remember the first and last, then it's easy for you to chronologically you can order. Right. Anyway, question number 10. Actually, it's one. Coming. I think before we have discussed all the questions, so the numbering is continuing from yesterday, right? So let's solve the question is there, and as you can see over your screen, first you have to right, George Orwell, very famous that he has written Why I Write. Charles Lamb, A Modest Proposal, Jonathan Swift. So even if you know these two, it will be easy. So E3, where is E3? Uh, Actually, D is there. D3. Where is D3 here? And then we have A2. This is your that even you can just answer very, and as you know, Michael de Montaigne, very famous for his cannibals, right? And Charles Lamb on the artificial comedy of the last century. Easy to answer, right? And question number 11, arrange the following in the chronological order of the publication. Again, the chronology, you see a lot of question are chronology, especially from where you get from even Greco-Roman to modern. You go to at the end. So whatever the question they're asking in chronology order, these are the main in between that they ask. And for that we'll have a special workshop or maybe session. Whoever joined the course, they'll easily get the workshop. Anyway, we'll discuss it later, but first I let's move on and solve this 11th question. And again, chronology, modern English uses, proposal for perfecting the English language, uses of, abuse, and an American dictionary. This question should not be here, but why it is there? Okay. Proposal for perfecting to English language. This work published in 1712 by Jonathan Swift. So this was also there. Anyway, you also do the research, but we'll leave it for tomorrow and take more what explanation for it. Anyway, question number 12 says, when I found myself on my feet, I looked about me and must confess I never beheld a more The like a continued garden and the enclosed field, which were generally 40 foot square, resembled so many beds of flower. So all these quotes are there, and you have to find which one is by what. So all are from Jonathan Swift. Let's check the first one. A2, Gulliver's Travel, when I found myself on feet. So even, with that you can even easily guess that he's talking about somewhere he kind of ended up, and when I found myself on my about me and beheld more entertaining prospect. The country round appeared like a continued garden and the enclosed field, which were generally 40 foot square. So it's in the first part, I guess. Gulliver's Travel. There is likewise another great advantage in my scheme, that it will prevent those voluntary abortion and that horrid practice of women murdering their children. So it is about children. Alas, too frequent among us sacrifice the poor and innocent babes. I doubt more to avoid the expense than the shame which would move tears and pity so basically he's talking about that Irish, remember, children that we just discussed. So that could be that. So B is what? B is 3. Yes. And then through reading all these, you don't have to remember them, but if you basically have the idea about each work, it will be easy for you to answer. Having to know purpose used all peaceable endeavors, the collected part of semen raised and inflamed became adust, and converted to cooler, turned head upon the spine duct and ascended to the brain. So what he here talking about? So a tail of a tub could not be there, or it is there anyway, because a dust. Anyway, this is completely does not show clearly that by reading you can get the answer, but these two, if you answer, it will be easy for you to answer. As you say, A2, where is A2? Only in one you can easily answer through that way. Sweeping from butcher's stall, dung, guts and blood. So it is talking about poem. So easy to answer. Which one of these are the poem? A description of lacerated shower. Very important. So easy to answer, right? Uh, Again, which of the following are true in the context of Jonathan Swift? What we have written, read that was born in Dublin. He was studied at Kilkenny Grammar College, right? True, in Dublin. He co-authored a book with Samuel Johnson. Definitely not. He was ordained in the Church of Ireland 1625. Yeah, he was actually in the uh, church, but we are not sure which church, right? We'll see anyway. He was a member of Kit Kat Club. He wrote the sensational novel of Lady Audley's Secret. Definitely not, right? So we are left with this first one. A, where is A? In two option, A and C. C, he was a member of Kit Club. So we have the answer, right? And he was not actually in Irish but Anglican Church. That's what you have to remember. The next question, other prose writer also you can see here. We are done with the questions on Swift for the past 5 to 6 years. They have asked only that much question. So that's kind of done. Now let's move to another one. Other prose writer in the Augustan age, you can see Arbuthnot. We already talked about it, and his notable work. All are these: Memoirs of Scribbler, The History of John Bull. You didn't get any question, but John Arbuthnot, you got question because of, I guess, Dryden, right? And Lord Bolingbroke, very important again. Why is important? Because he was a Tory political figure. Just you have to remember the name and all these works. Just have an idea that there were other prose writer other than Swift and Steele in addition, right? George Buckley, again, he has written The Principle of Human Knowledge, Dialogue of Hylas and Pines, and Elsie Fron or The Minute of Philosopher. Lady Mary Wortley Montague, what is she famous for? The letters. Earl of Shaftesbury, characteristics of man, manners, opinion, and time. So, guys, that's all here. And again, if you want all these notes, now we have completed the notes. If you wanted, you can just buy all these notes by calling this number. Right, so just call as soon as possible because we are just giving books in a very cheap price. You can either get it one notes at a time or you can buy all together. So whatever is uh, you know you think is good for you, you can go for it. So thank you so much. And tomorrow, one more thing, tomorrow we're going to talk about Samuel Johnson. Very important. We are only taking Samuel Johnson tomorrow because it's a very big session, because obviously you get 5 questions from him and based on him, uh, and from 5, 3 out of 5 you get direct question, direct from Johnson, and 2 indirect. So basically you would see a lot of Johnson in your exam paper. So be there. I'll be doing on Johnson, also criticism will be doing, his poetry part will be doing, and his what will be doing his drama also, right? So again, the formula to remember all of his work, as you know, the first, the last, no, first and second, last, second, whatever comes in between, right? So that will anyway talk about it. So for now, that's enough, and I'll see you kind of tomorrow, right? So bye bye and have a great day.